A lot of 30 and 40-year-olds are planning for what we call FIRE. For those of you that don't know, FIRE means financial independence, retire early. All people mean when they say FIRE is that they're planning to retire at an early age. For some people, this might be 45, it might be 50, it might be 55, it might be 60. But moral of the story is they're trying to retire early. And what that looks like for most people is you have to save and invest a very high percentage of your income to be able to retire at that early age. One thing that I hear all the time from this group is that they should avoid retirement accounts. They say you shouldn't use your 401k. They say you shouldn't use Roth IRAs or backdoor Roth IRAs, that you shouldn't invest in your HSA. And the reason that they say this is because you're going to need funds available to be able to retire early. All of those retirement accounts have restrictions. So if you have money in a 401k, you really can't take it out into 59 and a half without paying a 10% penalty and income taxes. This is kind of true. There are some rules around being able to take funds out early, but I really want to talk about this idea of should you use retirement accounts? My answer is yes. Most people think that you shouldn't because of those restrictions. They think, hey, if I retire at 50, well, from 50 to 59 and a half, I'm going to need liquidity, and those retirement accounts aren't going to allow that. I totally disagree with this. At the end of the day, you do need liquidity. You do need funds available for that age 50 to 59 and a half. But what most people do is they say, I'm only going to focus in on that 9.5 years, and I'm not going to think about from 60 to 92, which is the life expectancy. So they give up the 401k and the 401k match from their employer. They give up the Roth IRA or using a Roth 401k and getting tax-free growth. They have this mindset of, I need a plan for 10 years, and they end up forgetting about the next 30 years. And so let's just talk about the downsides of this. So let's just start with the first one. If you choose to not use retirement accounts, specifically your 401k, you're giving up a couple things. The first one is you're giving up the match. So let's say you make $300,000 a year, you get a 4% match. As long as you put in $12,000, you get that $12,000 from your employer. Avoiding that would be irresponsible, right? You're giving up 100% return on your dollars just because you're so focused on age 50 to 59 and a half. Now, I understand that some people at least do the match. They say, I don't want to give up that free money. I'm going to use the match, but I'm not going to do anything above that. Here's what I think they're missing out on. From my experience, most people who are retiring at 45, 50, or 55 are very high income earners. They're typically in the 32 to 37% tax brackets today. So when you put money in this pre-tax 401k, it reduces your taxable income at that top marginal tax rate. So if you're in the 37% bracket, and then let's say you're in California and have another 13.3%, if you're not putting in the extra, let's say $10,000, you're choosing to today pay about $5,000 of extra taxes at that top marginal tax rate. And you know what ends up happening for most people who retire at 50? They have this huge time where they can do Roth conversions. That first year after retirement, they're gonna have no income. They could choose, hey, I'm gonna do a bunch of Roth conversions and move money from pre-tax to Roth and fill up all of these lower brackets. So I was deferring at 37, and now I get to fill up some at 0, some at 10, some at 12, some at 22, some at 24. You might only go through the 24% bracket and find an average tax rate of about 18%. So you're deferring at 37, you're converting at an average rate of 18%. That is really good tax planning. That is how you lower your effective tax rate. Pretty much everybody who's going to retire early is going to have this awesome opportunity to do Roth conversions before they end up having to live off of that money. You end up giving out that match and you end up giving up Roth conversions. So let's say you say, well, hey, I don't want to end up using Roth IRAs or backdoor Roths. They're really not that impactful anyways. It's only $7,000. This is what you're going to miss out on. Tax-free growth. If you end up putting $7,000 into a Roth IRA in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and you end up retiring at 50, you might have put in $200,000 and let's say you have $1 million in that account. A couple things. One is that's $800,000 of growth that you avoid capital gains taxes on. And a lot of people say, oh, well, I heard I can live off of like $123,000 of capital gains and pay no income taxes or no taxes at all. And while this is true, I've never seen it in practice. Most people have income. They have dividends coming from their portfolio. They have interest from cash on hand. You don't end up having any room for this 0% bracket. It's not that you can have all this other income, but you get $120,000 of capital gains. It's all all of this gets added to your AGI, and that can push you over the threshold. Pretty much any high income earner that is also going to retire early is going to have a lot of money in taxable investments and most likely cash to live off of those first few years or bonds. That's going to push them out of these brackets. With Roth, you're going to get that tax-free growth. The other thing that most people don't realize is that you can use your contributions from the Roth IRA early. So whether you do the backdoor Roth or a regular Roth, not Roth conversions, taxable Roth conversions, you have a 5-year window before you can do them. Tax-free Roth conversions, you don't. Moral of the story is when you turn 50, you could actually start using those contributions from your Roth. Would I suggest that? No. Why? Because you want your Roth money to grow and compound for as long as possible. If you are somebody that's planning to retire early, you don't want to think about just those first 9.5 years or 4.5 or 5.5 or 15 years, whatever that timeline is. You need to think about, I need to have liquidity for that period pre-59.5, but I also want to take advantage of tax advantage accounts, right? This can be pre-tax and then setting yourself up for Roth conversions because you're in a high income bracket today. This could be using Roth and allowing tax-free growth to happen. This can be using an HSA. With an HSA, it reduces your taxable income. It's pre-FICA tax that can then grow tax-free, and then you can use it tax-free in healthcare costs, or you can keep receipts from healthcare costs and reimburse yourself in the future for those. You should not be avoiding retirement accounts. You need a mix between taxable, pre-tax, and Roth. And obviously you need to carve out enough funds to live from 50 to 59.5 or whatever that timeline is. But don't get siloed. Don't just think about taxable investments and give up all of these great benefits of tax advantage accounts because you're so focused on just one part of your retirement. And for the average person who retires at 50, that's 9.5 years. And then you're going to have another 32 to 33 years of having to use investments and accounts, which is where those tax advantage accounts can become really helpful. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and go follow my page for more personal finance content. And as always, if you have any thoughts, please leave it in the comments below, and I promise to get back to each individual comment. See you next week.